you want to know how to make a better golf backswing, well, in this next video I'm going to show you how making one simple change can fix it up for you so you'll play better golf. I'll see you soon. Hey, it's Troy from Hitting It Solid here. So in this video I'm going to show you how to make a fantastic golf backswing that will help your overall swing so you can play a lot more consistent golf. So before we get stuck in, please give this video a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. More subscribers I get here helps me grow the channel and keep on producing videos to help us all play better golf. So in today's video I'm going to show you how to make a great backswing just by making one simple change. Now, before we dive into that, I just want to go through what a most typical golf backswings look like and where a lot of golfers go wrong. So typically the biggest problem I see is too flat a backswing at the back. So from down the line I'll show you what this looks like. Most golfers, as they go back, they typically go inside with their takeaway and they'll be very flat with the club pointing way out to the left at the top of their backswing. Occasionally you might see someone with the opposite problem where they'll go too much over this way, but typically it's way too flat and in behind them. And what happens with a backswing like that is they typically do the opposite on their downswing, and what it'll look like, they go very flat, and what happens is the opposite happens on your downswing. If you go too flat on the backswing, typically on the downswing you do the exact opposite and go really steep. And that's where you get your big over the top, your big slices, all sorts of other golf problems come as a result of that over the top steep downswing, which is triggered by that really flat backswing. So I'm going to show you a really simple change you can make that can really fix that issue so you can make a really solid backswing. See, what we would prefer to do in our backswing is having it a lot more vertical, more upright, so it'll look something like, if I go back, something a bit more like that, rather than out there, somewhere more there, a lot more vertical. Unless you're someone like a John Rahm or a Sergio Garcia, just to think of it, a couple, they're able to go quite flat here and still make a really good swing in transition. But most golfers, most of the really better golfers will be a lot steeper, a lot more vertical in their backswing. So they'll typically be more upright like that. And that's a much better position to get into for your backswing. So a couple of things that you can fix with your backswing is to understand is position of the thumb. Now this is just part of a big piece of it, just how you can fix that backswing. If my thumb, if I can keep it pointing in the direction just down towards the camera there and pointing upwards, my swing will be on a much better plane there to complete that backswing. Now, and I'll show you this from face on towards the camera so you can see. So that thumb, that will control what the club's doing. So if that goes still pointing up, I've got my backswing in a pretty good position. Conversely, thumb points to the side, I'll have a very flat backswing. So that controls part of the backswing, really important to remember. So try to keep that thumb pointing up, and that will really help things out as well. And from face on towards the camera, just to show you another angle, keep that thumb. It helps keep the club on a much more vertical, better looking backswing. Now, the other part, and this is the real big piece, is keeping that left forearm, particularly this left armpit here, and the elbow pointing towards the ground in that takeaway and halfway through the backswing. If we can get that pointing at the ground, that will ensure our backswing is on a fantastic plane every time. So what I mean is, if I'm set up to a ball, if I can get that left elbow in particular pointing towards the ground there. As I get backswing, elbow still pointing towards the ground. I've got my backswing in a really nice position. So from face on towards the camera, at my setup here, I've got the elbow pointing in towards me as I go back. It's still towards the ground, still towards the ground. Now if I get this wrong and I come inside too much, you'll see the elbow's pointing somewhere out there. If I get it really flat at the top, elbow pointing way out there. So the left elbow at setup and through the takeaway to the backswing is a real key. If you can get this in the right position, it ensures your backswing is right on plane. So for me, a great way to practice this is at your setup, take both your arms, have the palms pointing out towards the golf ball, and all I want you to do is with this left one is just turn it in. You can see that little armpit is still pointing outwards. So palms out like this. If we turn the left one just like that, the elbow we want pointing at the hip. So I'll take my setup, I'll get my grip. You can see my elbows pointing at my hip at setup. As I make my takeaway, elbow still pointing towards the ground, backswing, elbow still pointing towards the ground. That's a really great checkpoint. The direction that elbow, that lead elbow, is pointing at setup through the takeaway, through the backswing. A real guide to let you know if your backswing is on plane, and that's as simple as way you can do it. And a great way to practice this is in front of a mirror, get a camera, just doing slow motion swings, making sure that elbow is in that right position. So I'm just getting my setup here, elbows pointing at my hip. As I make my takeaway, elbow still pointing down, top. We're still in a great position there. That's all we need to do. Elbow down, elbow down. If we ever get off track and that elbow points out this way, we know our swing's getting off track and we need to fix that backswing. And the beauty of getting this golf swing with that elbow on that little bit more vertical position at the top makes it much easier. Makes it much easier if I get to the top with that elbow down on the downswing. Makes it much easier to shallow, because the club will do the opposite to what it did in the backswing. If we're just that little bit steeper in that backswing, makes it much easier. That elbow down makes it much easier to shallow on the way down and get in that perfect downswing area to hit the golf ball solid. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. Just remember to get that elbow position pointing at your hip at setup, pointing towards the ground in the takeaway and the backswing, and that will really help you out. So please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel once again. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.